schedule. And if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and call to order this board meeting of the Columbia Development Authority. And we will begin with introductions. I'm Kim Pusey, Port of Umatilla.
Emily, why don't you lead us through introductions? You can just go through a roll call and have people say here or present.
Perfect. I get Joe.
Here.
Joel Peterson.
Here.
David Sykes.
Here.
Kelly Doherty.
Here.
Barrett Thorson.
Here.
Brian Lemke.
Here.
Dan Doran.
Here.
Doug Olson.
Here.
Jeff Wenholtz.
Here.
John Schaefer.
Here.
Josh Burns. Kyla.
Here.
Landon Jones.
Here.
Nick Kotz.
Here.
And Scott Ezel.
Here.
And that's everybody right now.
Emily, I am not seeing JD Tubby. Have we heard whether he's going to join us or not?
From JD.
And I just think I saw Doug Olson join the county council, if I'm not mistaken.
Doug actually answered the roll call.
Thank you, John.
This is Bob Blanc. I'm online.
Thanks, Bob. All right. Do you have any public comments, Melody? Have you heard from anyone?
No, we have not heard from anybody. I don't see any hands raised. If anybody wants to
Okay.
raise.
All right. Seeing none, we'll move into the consent agenda. Greg, do you want to do these separately or all at once?
That would be up to your folks' call. I feel pretty comfortable with you just doing it all together.
All right. I'm looking for a motion for the consent agenda with all three of the items that are listed here, A, B, and C.
This is Joe Taylor. I would move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Been moved by Joe to accept the consent agenda as presented.
This is Jeff. I will second.
Moved and seconded. Those in favor, Emily, why don't you do a roll call again so that we can make sure?
Yeah, Joe,
Aye.
John,
Yes.
Jeff,
Aye.
and Kim.
And I'm an aye, yes, thank you.
Okay, and I still don't see JD, sorry.
Okay, motion carries. Informational report. Greg, I'm going to look to you for your director's update.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, gang. So what I want to do is start off first with our road construction update and then move on down through the list. So yesterday we advertised our RFP to select a contractor for the road project. That means on July 10th, we will have a mandatory pre-proposal conference for all prospective proposers. We will then have a submission deadline of July 31st. Following that, on August 4th, we intend to evaluate proposals from those who have submitted. On August 12th, we'll be interviewing high-ranking proposers who are within the competitive range. Then also on August 12th, we'll select the highest ranked proposer subject to recommendation by you, the board. On August 13th, we'll notify each proposer of the results of the board's action. August 19th, we intend to award the contract and execute the notice of award. On September 9th, we will be providing the selected proposer with an award form and an agreement to execute. We then anticipate that by the end of September, that contractor will be selected on board. We assume there soon after, we will be moving into construction with an 18-month construction period. Commissioner Doran, last month you asked about the methodology in which I was going to hold back 30%, and I gave you kind of a less than complete answer. What I intend to do is move our contingency, that's currently 5%, and move it to 10%. And then in addition to that, we are going to put in 2 additives that will allow us to manage the project as we get to the late stages in development. Additive A will finish the last mile to the west of the CDA boundary. Additive B would include optional secondary access roads, should we have the resources to do it. I did have a consultation meeting with our engineers, and with the economy the way it is, we anticipate we will be able to fully build out this project for the 12 million. And so I'd provide that as an update on where we are with the road construction.
Thank you. Unless there are any questions, Greg, you can just continue down through your list.
Okay.
Sorry, sir. This is Nick Gotts. I just, real quick, how much do you anticipate the traffic and construction using or coming through the Reese Training Center? Or will that be a consideration? I'm just asking.
So most definitely. Now, most definitely, we intend to access this project through I-82 initially.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. And just as a little bit of background, just as some interesting facts, let me share this with you. We believe, based upon the resources we have available, we will have a 5-mile road constructed starting at exit 10 on I-82 and extending all the way to the west side of the CDA property. Each of the travel lanes will be approximately 14 feet wide. The weight capacity will be designed based upon ODOT traffic counts encompassing a range of vehicles from standard interstate trucks and trailers to those of passenger vehicles. And at the end of the day, we anticipate that the road should have a lifetime expectancy of approximately 20 years.
Mr. Chair, I've got a quick question before we leave off this topic.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
So, are we in contact with the tribes regarding any of the burrowing owls out there on this project?
No, Commissioner, we are not. There are no burrowing owl nests based upon where this road is going to be going through.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Anyone else?
With
Seeing none.
with that said, really quick though, on the burrowing owls, if anyone would like a map of where their current nests are located, I'd be more than willing to provide it to folks.
Also on that note, JD did join. I don't know
Oh,
if he
good.
has-
Thank you.
Okay, next item is Umatilla Electric Cooperative Transmission Installation. This is just a heads up or a notice that Umatilla Electric Cooperative is proceeding forward with their 14-mile transmission line that would connect Highway 730 switchyard in Boardman with the ordnance switchyard at Westland Road. It's going to be approximately it will be a 230 kV line. It's going to help add resiliency and reliability by interconnecting key components of their system. One of the things I have asked them to do is to work closely with the future landowners of those properties to make sure that whatever easements they choose to proceed with, that it's in coordination with the landowners. The project currently is in a land use phase, and according to UEC, they are on schedule. Josh, is there anything I could add to that?
No, sir, you nailed it. We have submitted our application for site certificate with the state of Oregon, so that's currently where we're at in the process.
And I do have to share with you, Board, Josh has been absolutely fabulous to work with and getting this information and working closely to help the CDA with its agenda. So Josh, thank you. Let's move on. As part of the road construction, folks will recall that $5 million was allocated over to Umatilla Electric. And at the time, the wording in the language stated that the $5 million could be used for utility expansion. What we needed to do for Umatilla Electric was make sure that it was clear that those dollars could be used for roads. And so one of the things Umatilla Electric asked us to do was to provide some form of acknowledgement from Business Oregon. What I would share with you is today, out of your Capital Construction Joint Committee on Ways and Means, House Bill 5006-1, provided an amendment that says Umatilla Electric Cooperative Association industrial site for infrastructure and utility improvements for $5 million. And so the language will be very, very clear and in statute that UEC will be able to utilize those dollars for the road project. While we believe Business Oregon would have gotten there, at the end of the day, we just want to make sure there's complete clarity for all parties. With that said, as it relates to that $5 million, Schwabe, Williamson, and Wyatt, our legal counsel, is drafting hold harmless language for UEC, along with assurance language that UEC will not be held liable for any cost overruns. I take any questions on that if you have them. Want to share with you some good news. Special Districts Insurance had notified us that we're scheduled to be reimbursed for $25,000 under the injunctive relief coverage we have. This relates to the litigation between Umatilla County and CDA, Port of Umatilla, Port of Morrow, and Morrow County. We have received that check and it has been deposited into our account. Okay, I'll move down to CDA auction. Gang, as you'll recall, 2 or 3 times you've authorized me to proceed forward with undertaking the liquidation of furnitures, equipment, etc. I began to proceed forward. Actually had a press release drafted, and then I pushed pause, second guessing this decision with Emily being 8.5 months pregnant, with me having a bad back. I didn't want to find the two of us trying to be out there moving furniture for folks who showed up unprepared to move furniture that they may desire. So one of the things we're going to do is put a plan together on how best to liquidate this property, and we'll keep you informed as we proceed. At the end of the day, I'm not in a position to be out there lifting desks for people when they show up and are incapable of doing it themselves. Emily, I would not ask you to do that. Board members, I'm not inclined to believe you're going to come out and help me do that. And so I will put a plan together and I will bring that back and share with you how we're proceeding.
Greg, what time do you anticipate maybe something? You thinking like mid-September or even later than that?
I'd sure like to get it done this summer.
Okay.
Really what I need to do is figure out a way to, maybe to go hire the Hermiston Wrestling Club or the Riverside Wrestling Club and ask those young men to come out and help us.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we had our press release all ready to go. And Emily was about to push send, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh man, my back is not going to do this. I can't have Emily out there. So anyway, so our goal is this summer.
Okay.
Yep. Want to move on to fire annexation. There's an ongoing conversation right now between the Boardman Fire Department and the Irrigan Fire Department. Morrow County, as you folks probably already know, has pushed pause on the annexation of either fire district. So right now we're in a wait and see. I did have a chance to visit with our legal counsel at Schwabe. They shared with us, with attorneys being on vacation out of town and with the 4th of July, at a minimum, we're looking at the middle of July before we'll have an update. With that said, should an update be positive or an update come to fruition, by the time we push it through the Morrow County annexation process, we're probably looking at after Labor Day. So just a heads up on where we are there.
Quick question on that. I know that Boardman Fire told us a couple meetings ago that they were going to have a building put up and constructed by June. Is that completed? Do we know?
I do not know of where their building's going to be located. I believe it is on Oregon Military Department property. It's not on CDA, and John, I don't know if it's been completed or not.
Nick might know.
Yeah, there's no, I believe what he had talked about was the fact that they were going to station possibly an engine and a ambulance here during the day shift, and that we were going to work long term to that there is a building that we were going to possibly be able to house that same engine and ambulatory on a 24/7 basis. They are not going to build a building. The building is already exists, and but we're still in the working out phase on that.
Thank you.
Yep.
The one thing I would share with the board, in addition, is with the temporary restraining order that we have upon us does ensure the status quo as it relates to emergency services. So we do have that coverage. As it stands right now, we are relying on Boardman to provide coverage to the industrial lands on the Morrow County side, and Irrigan to provide coverage to the 640 acres to the north. Another update, Umatilla County litigation. I would actually defer to some of you who may know more than I do on this, but according to our attorneys, the CDA has provided a response back to the parties. The one thing I've requested is that the legal fees for the Columbia Development Authority be compensated by Umatilla County. That'll be a decision between the county and the board. I can tell you in the month of May and June, our total legal fees have totaled $33,370. And I can provide a total cost estimate at a future meeting if you'd like it. One of the things we've been told is that, again, with vacation, summertime, 4th of July, etc., we should not expect any form of settlement language that I can present to you until mid-July. Checking in with Schwabe on how that would play through. If settlement language did come in July, we're probably again looking at post-Labor Day before we'd be able to really begin proceeding with the land division. I don't know if anyone has any updates or questions they'd like to ask on it. Let me just share a few additional things that are not on the agenda, but just as additional updates. In the last month, we've received 3 inquiries. One of them is a renewable energy company looking to place batteries for battery storage. 2 others are film and video companies, one of which took a look at what we provided them and said, thank you. not quite what they were looking for, but they would keep us in mind in the future. A second company is visiting with me, discussing about perhaps exchanging services where they would have access to an igloo for a couple days. In return, they would provide drone footage and any other footage we may deem desirable for economic development purposes in the future. So I'll keep you updated on it. I'm not sure if I shared this with you since the last time we've met. I have signed off and agreed to a monitoring agreement with the Confederated Tribes of Umatilla related to the Ordnance Pipeline Phase 2 project. The Columbia Development Authority, by my signature, has agreed that any artifacts encountered as part of Umatilla County's Ordnance Pipeline Phase 2 monitoring at the map location of 35 UM 498 will be reburied. The artifacts will be reburied on site, and we understand that we will retain ownership of those artifacts until such time as the transfer of the land to the Confederated Tribes of Umatilla. In addition, I've agreed that should any artifacts be encountered, that I will immediately notify C2IR. And in addition to that, I would just share with the group that Tara Furman at C2IR has been a pleasure to work with. Mr. Chair, those would be my informational updates.
Thank you, Greg. Anyone have questions for Greg on any of these items?
I have one if we could, Kim. Back
Go
on
ahead.
insurance refund. Describe again what that was for.
Sure. Let me pull that up for you. Yeah, let me tell you exactly what that's for. So as part of our special district's insurance policy, we had language in there that would reimburse legal fees for up to $25,000 for defense of Umatilla County versus CDA lawsuit under the injunctive relief coverage clause within our insurance.
Okay, gotcha. I understand that now.
Okay.
And how much is that refund again?
It was $25,000 and it was sent to us via check. And that check has been deposited.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, item number 5 here, Greg, informational reports with possible work session. We have,
Really
go
quick,
ahead.
Mr. Chair, there's a lobby update.
Oh, please, I'm sorry, I did not see that. Yeah,
So
jumped
gang,
right past it. Thank you.
I received a communication today that reads, Greg, something has come up at the Capitol over transportation. Can I postpone the update till after the session? I have a session conflict. If so, can you let Emily know? You can update them on the carbon sequestration issue, along with the UEC issue, and what we're doing for potential transportation improvement issues. So, oh, and then I also noted on here, enterprise zone. So gang, I'll just be really candid. He is up to his elbows. We're in the final 5 days of session if we go to Sunday. The major issue outstanding in the state capitol is a transportation project. And Rich Angstrom, who is our contract lobbyist for $2,500 a month, only through session, needed to be attentive to those issues. He asked for the ability to be excused, and I granted it.
Thank you. All right, now to the informational reports with possible work session. Got several items there.
So, Mr. Chair, the first one is a fiscal agent. During our last board meeting, Umatilla County shared that they would go back and discuss this and report back to us on their thoughts and comments. of the fiscal agent.
I can, since I brought that up, I can say that we've begun those conversations, but nothing to report right now.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I'll move on to policies and procedures. Board, you should have within your email a draft employee handbook. This has been something that has been needed for a very long time, so I hope the board will take this serious. Take it very serious. We have worked this for many hours over the last month with Schwabe, Williamson, and Wyatt. We've gone through, we have edited it to what we believe is representative of the needs of the CDA. We do have the ability for you folks to discuss this in executive session if you'd like, or if you have not had an opportunity to take a look at it because of the brief amount of time you've had it in your hand, we would ask for you to review it and to be prepared to address it at the next board meeting.
Okay. I think I had sent some comments into you, Greg. I assume you received those.
Yes, sir. We received yours and we also received JD's.
Okay.
And I've asked legal counsel to integrate those comments in, which they have done to the best of their ability.
Okay. Are those in what we have right in front of us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Awesome.
And I'm prepared to talk about it today too, and I can submit my comments as well. But I also don't know if it needs to be executive session. I think this is open session stuff, isn't it? I mean, I don't know why this would be executive.
I believe you're correct, Commissioner. I think this is something you'd want to do in public.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, John, if you'd like.
So, okay, so I'm assuming we're all gonna have a go, but I'll start. In several places, it's discussed that both employees and board members and employees should not be addressed in the same document. This is not a board member document, it's a employee handbook.
By the way, gang, all your comments you share with me, I will communicate those with Schwabe, Williamson, and Wyatt.
Okay. I think there should be an employee handbook with policies focused on employees. We could have a board member guideline and expectation document, but we certainly need to separate those two out. So, page 32, pay increases. It suggests that instead of rewarding performance with pay increases beyond COLA, that a variable compensation committee bonus be established, but should not be automatic and should be an award established by the board. And then page 33, records for exempt employees.
John, Commissioner, back on 32, you read the statement. Tell me what the issue is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back to page 32. Yeah, stuck on 33.
And it may be more efficient for you just to submit those to me and then I can forward those on.
Okay, I thought we were going to discuss. Are we not discussing them then?
Oh, no, you can. I was just saying, rather than me trying to write it all down, if you
Oh
just
yeah, no,
forward
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
So for sure. I'm reading it. Hang on just a second. Well, I think that should be that we suggest it instead of rewarding performance pay increases beyond COLA, that a variable, I didn't see where variable compensation opportunities in this. Okay, so I'll work on that one too.
So, Commissioner and Mr. Chair, I'm receiving notice that our legal counsel is very adamant that we have this conversation in executive session. And I don't know her reasoning for this, although she's sharing those statements with me, or I'm receiving notification of that. Excuse me.
Is she on the call? I guess I didn't see her.
No, I'm receiving this text message from a staff member.
Elizabeth and Kelly will both be joining in executive session.
Okay, so the timing on that would be, it looks like item number 7, after the good of the order, we would have a conversation about the employee handbook and the job description. So, do you have anything else on public records requests? Why don't we cover that first, and then we'll go into the executive session. And I just want to say, based on the little bit of information I have of how you have gone about solidifying what our policy will be, I want to thank the press for helping us with that.
Yeah, most definitely. So I would just share with you, I'll move to public records and then I'll turn this over to you folks so you can proceed as you'd see fit. We have, as you'll recall, during a previous board meeting, I brought a draft public records request form and policy to the board for input. I should have made that clear because our public records request conversation went statewide. With that said, I have a further draft public records request form that has now been initially structured by myself. I want the public records request form at a level that provides simplicity and ease for the public to submit their request. In addition, I want a policy that is open and transparent and is uniform. This public records request form that you have before you has been reviewed by the East Oregonian and has been reviewed by KOHU. And I want to thank Phil Wright for his time in providing his comment and for Eric Olson for providing their comments. With their input, we made additional modifications, additional corrections. We then forwarded on to our legal counsel for review, and they have provided their comments. I will walk through this very quickly. Everything we've done in here is in line with, or is with the goal, again, of being open and transparent in meeting Oregon's public records law. Required questions for someone submitting a public record request include the following: their first and last name, their organizational name. We need their address. We need their phone number and email. Those are required questions. Next, we have the timeline. With our timeline, here would be our policy if you adopt this. The CDA will acknowledge receipt of your public records request within 5 business days. This acknowledgement will indicate the CDA has received your request, whether it has the documents you request, and that the CDA will be processing your request. Then within 10 more business days from this acknowledgement, the CDA will respond. By the way, before I proceed, gang, remember what I said. This is still in draft form. It still needs to go through a final editing of grammar, punctuation, spelling, etc. Then within 10 more business days from this acknowledgement, the CDA will respond. This response could include providing the requested records, informing you no records exist, informing you the documents exist but are exempt from disclosure, or providing a time frame for completion. The 10-day deadline is a general guideline. The actual time to complete your request can vary based upon several factors, including complexity, staff availability, fee required, or volume of requests. 6, required is describe the record you're requesting, focusing your request on a single topic will significantly aid the CDA in completing your records request. 7, we ask that you please share additional information to better help the CDA, such as the author or recipient, date or range of dates, and type of documents, meeting minutes, mail, etc., that you're looking for. 8, would you prefer to just visually inspect the records, including electronic records? Number 9, the CDA will prioritize your request based upon the order in which it's received. The CDA will make every effort to keep its fees reasonable and affordable. However, excessive, duplicative, or vague requests cost taxpayers money, and as such, please anticipate the following fee schedule. First, $25 per request. Those records requiring legal review will be assessed the $25 per request fee plus legal counsel cost to review the costs. And you can see what those are. C, any request requiring more than 1 hour of research or response preparation will be charged an additional $25 per hour. This is important to point out to the board. This was very important to the East Oregonian and KOHU, that the fees just be upfront, that they be known, and that everyone is required to pay the same rate. One of the other sensitivities that was brought up was making sure that we do everything we can to keep our fee as affordable as possible, which then leads you to item 10, which is our fee waiver request. Explain how making these records available primarily benefits the general public. If the person requesting the public record will identify this, and if it appears reasonable, then I'm going to do everything I can to waive the fees so that way this information can be made available to the public and we can remain transparent. Number 11, and this is important, non-responsive requester. If you fail to respond to inquiries for clarification or any other communication from the CDA within 60 days, the status of your request will be classified as a non-responsive requester as required by ORS 192.329. Non-responsive requests may be resubmitted and processed as a new request. Then finally, at the bottom, it talks about multiple public resources available for the public, which includes Oregon's Public Records Manual, Oregon's Public Records Advocate, Oregon's Public Records Advisory Council. And then at the very end, it states if you have any questions, you may contact us via telephone or via email. So, Mr. Chair, a tremendous amount of work has gone into this. Again, our goal was to make this process as simple as possible, as open as possible, and as transparent as possible. And I would ask for you to consider it, and I would actually ask for a vote to adopt this public records policy.
Thank you, Greg. Any questions or comments for Greg? And then we can consider whether we'd like to vote on this.
Yeah, I got a question. So how many of these are actually go in front of legal counsel for review? Because $670 an hour seems pretty steep.
Yeah, it is. $670 is the cost that our legal counsel charges. Typically, up until about 2 years ago, 0 went before legal counsel. Then for approximately a 24-month period of time, the Malheur Enterprise had multiple requests, of which they became complex. They became on what some people may perceive as needing legal review. And at the end of the day, our legal counsel suggested, based upon the volume, the complexity, and quite often the vagueness of the request, that they be reviewed. So for a 24-month period of time, if you'll recall, we spent over 90 some odd $1,000 on handling one person's public records requests.
Thank you, Greg. JD, I can see your hand up if you'd like to go ahead and ask your question. or make your
Yeah,
comment.
certainly. Thank you for this work on this. I just noticed, so this is under actual informational reports with possible work sessions, so I don't know if we can vote on it, correct? You said that there's still some stylistic questions I have on it. It's still written like a memo rather than a policy, like with your signature line and everything at the end. And there's just minor little stuff like that. But anyway, that was my couple just concerns. Is one is that like I think it's good. I think I like it. But I did notice that it was under the informational reports, and so I don't know if we can even vote on it anyway.
So the way our agenda works, gang, informational reports with possible work session allows you to have a conversation, and then should the board choose to proceed forward, they can. And most definitely, approval of this would be subject to final editorial adjustments for grammar, spelling, etc. Our intent is to have this be not only our form, but also our policy. And with that said, we would place this online. And so if someone requested a public records request, when they went online, this is exactly what they would see. And so it's a blend of the form and the policy.
Yeah. Greg, are you okay that we tweak this for grammar and so forth, form, and then have it available to specifically be for a vote at a subsequent meeting, or is there more urgency with respect to it from your perspective?
You know, the urgency lies on your folks' behalf, not mine. I would just share with you that in the past, we spent a significant amount of money trying to determine and decipher how to proceed forward with public records. It appears with the Mount Here Enterprise closing that our requests have significantly declined. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to occur again. So I would leave that up to you folks. If you would like us to go through and do the final grammatical editing, we can. If you have any edits of substance, please let me know and we'll run it by our legal counsel one more time.
JD, I'm looking at you. You made an excellent point, and if you're okay with the grammatical issues being addressed subsequent to a vote, we can put that before the board.
Yeah, sorry, my phone cut out just briefly there for a second. Can you go over the review that I presume Schwabe did it, just making sure this is all compliant with ORS and everything like that? And it sounds like the general people who do make requests, such as the EO, is good with it. But yeah, sorry if you're repeating yourself, but I'm just kind of double checking.
Yep, no problem. So the format for this document has come off of the Attorney General's website. From there, we took this form, we tweaked it based upon what our needs are, and we ran it through the East Oregonian and KOHU. From there, then we took their recommendations and suggestions and redrafted with minor tweaks. Then we ran it to Schwabe, Williamson, and Wyatt, of which they went through and made their corrections or suggestions. We for every one of the suggestions they offered, we adopted them with one exception. The one exception is they did not want their name in this as our legal counsel. I'm of the opinion that in the interest of openness and transparency, the public needs to know who our legal counsel is. And so those are the steps it has gone through. It has also been sent to our public records advocate for consideration.
Right. And so, and I kind of actually tend to agree, because I think, and in a lot of other places, we'll just talk about legal counsel, and legal counsels of legal. There are legal counsel of record, which can be found in other ways, and so that's why that's why my kind of a little bit concern on this is even like your listed name on there as a memo. It seems like this is a letter from you, even as ED is the authority, rather than just a policy that's adopted by the board that has a form that goes with it, and then it may or may not have a letter associated with it, but it's all kind of like all in one. And so
So
I'm just
we,
kind of like, I'm just double checking that it seems like, the policy, the form, and a memo stating the process are all kind of all grouped up into one thing, which seems a little bit clumsy.
so we could strike dear citizen and we could strike the last paragraph. Or we could modify that last paragraph to say for more information, contact, and then take off the signature line if you if that is better.
Yeah, it was because I think that might be a separate thing, like the policy, the form, and the memo or the letter. In my mind, are three separate things.
Okay.
I would tend to agree with JD. I think the top of it needs to say policy. This needs to be, this is our policy. It needs to be separate from the records request form.
So you want me to draft a new policy? What we've done is
No, I just think those need to be distinct things. There's the policy, which is what our policy is, the form by which you go through the policy, and then if you need a letter to like, here's the form and here's the process, here's the response.
okay. So I understand the letter part. I've
Yeah.
struck that.
Yeah.
Now with everything else in here, what we have done in line with what other folks have done is we have said that we are following Oregon Revised Statute Chapter 192 for public reports and meetings. And then, so we stated that right up front, and that our policy is of openness and transparency.
Yeah.
And then we say, now answer these questions. So we've told them we follow 192.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like I don't want to get too, I don't
And then,
know,
and then at the
nitpicky.
bottom,
Because I
at the
think,
bottom we say, we follow public records manual, public records advocate. But you guys just let me know and I'll do whatever you want.
yeah, that's why I don't mean to sound like I'm getting too picky. I just think it's just for clarity, like, that's the way we usually have our stuff set up is like there's the policy that's like a document, and then there's like a form to go through the policy that is a distinct form that's, it's like here's your land development code and here's the permit that goes through the land development code, and then a letter from the director saying whether or not your permit's approved. And so those are processed. So those are in my mind just distinct things instead of all in one thing. So I don't know
JD,
how the best way to craft that
yeah,
out.
JD, do you mind just forwarding to Greg
Yeah.
the documents you mentioned? Then we've got a template.
Yeah,
And
I'm happy to. And thank you, Mr. Chairman. And sorry about this. I just landed back in the country about 3-4 hours ago, so I'm still getting my head wrapped around life. So I'm happy to help any way I can.
Well, let's do this, gang. That would be great, JD, if you do that. And then, Mr. Chair, if you'll provide 30 more days, what I can do is go through and separate out the policy from the request. And I'll run that again by legal counsel and I'll bring you a revised policy and form.
Yeah.
how about rather than 30 days at our next meeting, something like
Yeah.
that, and you'll have a template from JD you can work on. Sounds good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I'm in agreement with all the content. The content and the stuff seems pretty solid. So it's nothing. It's just stylistic stuff.
Got it. No problem.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Really appreciate the dialogue, you guys. Okay, we are now.
Before you move on, Kim, I'll make a
Yeah.
comment.
Oh, please, Jeff.
So I understand what you're saying, JD, but I do kind of like that maybe the policy would be given with the form to somebody that does a public records request, so that it is clear to the person making the public records request what the policy is and what the charges are up front to them. That's the only comment I'd have.
That's kind of what I heard that JD was going to provide to Greg, Jeff. I may have not understood, but that's what I thought that JD was going to send to Greg.
Good enough.
All right. Greg, if we're finished with that, it looks like we're going to be going into the executive session. And just on the mechanics of that, I'm assuming that Emily is going to let council in. We're going to ask, we're going to read the statement, and then who's going to contact the two of you, Emily and Greg, before you come back in?
So really
So when-
quick, Mr. Chair, before you go there, and I just have one more thing I need to share while we're in public.
Thank you.
I did want to let the board know, and this is just a note I wrote down as we were preparing to come in, that I have ordered our audit for 2023 as required by the BRAC. And I've also put ourselves in the queue for our 2025 audit. I'd share with the board the approximate cost of both those audits is $15,000 each. And we'll be putting that into our cash flow.
Thank you.
Okay. That's all I have.
Emily, you were going to talk about the mechanics of this transition back and forth. You're muted.
Sorry, I muted myself. Elizabeth and Kelly are joining now, and when you guys need Greg and I to leave, Elizabeth will become the host. She'll put us into the waiting room, and then she'll bring us back in when you guys are done.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. And does Elizabeth have someone who's going to read the statement for us?
Yeah, it can be me if you guys would like.
If you would, please.
Okay. The CDA may hold an executive session meeting for the permissible reasons stated below under ORS 192.6602. Representatives of the news media and designated staff and other persons shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience will be asked to leave the room, or the CDA board may adjourn to another meeting room. The public virtual Zoom meeting link will be closed during the executive session as permissible. Executive session meetings are not subject to HB 2560. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decisions will be made in this executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back in the room in person and open the public virtual Zoom meeting link again. 4A, to consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection, ORS 192.6602F.
Thank you, Emily.
Can anyone that's a member of the media raise your hand so I don't move you?
We've adjourned from that. I don't have additional items on the agenda. What's your pleasure in terms of adjourning the meeting? Anybody?
If there's nothing else, then I will move for adjournment.
All right, and that was Jeff. Been moved that we adjourn this meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Those in favor? Emily, do you mind doing a roll call?
Yeah, Joe,
Aye.
That was Joe. Mhm.
Jeff,
Yes.
John,
All right.
JD,
Yes.
and Kim.
Yes, thank you. And I see that we're adjourning at 2:50. Thanks a lot. Have great days.
Mm.